Hey guys, Gambling CS here. This is an account update and a sale and a brief explanation of what I'm going to be doing for the next month or so. As you can tell, this isn't my general setting. I'm back in Texas, back with my parents in my parents' house. So this is where I'm going to be for the next month. I actually have like a month and a half off from school, but I'm here, and then I'll go back out there for a swim test for the my marine diving tech school program thing. Anyway, account update. I will be back here in Texas. I'll probably be doing off the review off my desk, which is sitting around here. Computer, desk, kind of weird shaped table. That's probably what you're going to be seeing for the next while. I'm also going to have to do an impromptu stand. What I have right now is the bottom half of an old fishing pole, which is kind of weird. Bed, and yes, it is a bunk bed. Have that since 4th grade, and I still somehow fit in there. God, I'm a dinky guy. Alright, so, anyway, account update, that's all that. Sale, that green bow in the back. If you're not into bows, I'll explain the other stuff. I'll explain everything I'm talking about later, but just to get that out of the way, I'm left-handed mostly, and this is a right-handed recurve bare bow, 45-pound draw. It's kind of short. I do have 2 strings for it. It's in full condition. Full condition. Full condition. It's in pretty good condition. There are a couple spots where the lamination's a little bit delaminating, but I've shot it with this, and it's been like that, and I can shoot this all day long, and I won't be worried about it. It's perfectly fine. Originally, if you're familiar with the Bear series, it had a soft pad that was put right here. That did not come on mine. I did not buy mine. Mine actually was I found mine in a trash can. I'll explain that story later. Anyway, so this one, the pad's no longer there. Grip is fantastic. It's laminated wood. I have no idea what kind, sadly. There's the markings, if you can make that out. KU06312, AM 0-52, 45 number. I presume 45 for the 45-pound draw. It's a Bear glass reinforced Kodiak Magnum. It's really a great bow, but like I said, I'm left-handed, and this is a right-handed bow, like the 90% of the world that is right-handed. So I'm just trying to sell this off. If you are interested, PM me, and I'll give you the details, more details about it. Other than that, I'm just going to get on with the rest of the video. Let's try not to bang that into there. Okay, so a couple things. If you aren't a bow person, I'll explain the 45-pound draw. It's how much tension you'll have on the bow at a certain strength. Like my new bow, this blue one, it's an Optima. Let me show you the brand. PSE Optima series, yeah. And most of them are labeled nowadays, but that one wasn't. If I get a close-up right, there we go. Let's get the less light there. So it says at 28 inches, it'll have a 35-pound draw, and it's 66 inches unstrung, made in Italy, which is awesome. Basically, what that's saying is, when I have that bow pulled back, it's strung, and I have an arrow knocked and ready to pull it back at 28 inches, so roughly 2 feet, it'll have 35 pounds of force, of tension on both the limbs. The white things are the limbs, and tension and force that'll be put into these arrows when it shoots out, which is pretty cool. Let's see, what else? There's many different kinds of bows. There are regular bows, long bows, composite bows, compound bows. I'm a preference of recurve bows. The reason being because I am a shorter guy, and I prefer to have a stronger level of bow. Even though this one isn't. This is just kind of like my target arrow for practice. Recurve bows allow for a lesser distance, but it still has that much, a certain grade of force. For instance, I could get an English longbow would be traditionally 120, 130 pounds of tension, of force behind it, and they're 6 feet tall. Well, I'm 5'6". I can't really lift that. I can't aim that all that well if I'm shooting at a target 20 yards down. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem. So with a recurve, this is 66 inches. That's That's exactly my height when it's unstrung. Strung, that'll pull it down a good foot or so, and then it's fully within my extended parallel arm to ground level, and I can shoot it perfectly fine. So that's something I really like, but I can get so much tension out of these recurved limbs than I can over a straight bow, because it has this much more length that has to curve back to flex it back out to shoot. Compound bows, well, compound bows are based on a gear system, which are, excuse me, getting tongue-tied, a gear system located at both the top and bottom of the limbs, and what it does is it'll allow for the limbs to give you that much pressure, but once they click into a certain spot, it'll hold that pressure on itself. So you could be holding a 110-pound compound bow, but you only have 20 pounds of pressure that you're holding yourself personally. The other 160 are on the limbs. It's pretty nifty, but I personally am not of that mindset, because I believe if you're going to have that strong of a bow, you better be able to pull it and hold it back yourself and aim it and then release it properly. That's my idea. I'd rather get the arm strength off and be, instead of being like a little wussy, be like, oh, I got a 180-pound draw with a 20-pound resting. It's kind of stupid, in my idea. But that's just my opinion. I know plenty of hunters do that, and that's their choice. But whatever. Just not my preference. So there's that. Also, most bows, most modern bows, come with different setups for different things. Like if you look at mine right here, it has a really simple plastic arrow rest, or arrow rest or arrow shelf, or whatever you want to call it. It's really simplistic. You just let it rest on there, and it's really flexible plastic. So when the fletchings, which are these the feathers, they're called fletchings. Whenever they rub against it, it'll just flick off and flex right back. It does, however, have a drilled taps and screwed in placement here and up here. These two are for sighting. For sights, if I wanted fiber optic sights right up here, I could screw those in. This one's for a more, or not more traditional, but a more advanced arrow rest. I could also add weights. If you see some of the Olympic shooters, they've got bars that stick out about 1.5 feet, and then they've got like 20 pounds of weight on each side, and that helps them so that when they're drawing the arm back, their arm doesn't flail around wildly, and it helps keep them steady. It's pretty handy, but for the light poundage that I normally do, I don't need those, and I prefer bare bows, which is why I haven't added anything to this one or this one. So that's just something. Excuse me. Also, a lot more modern bows are able to be taken apart, like this one. It's got a hex screw that goes through it and pins the limbs to the metal frame and keeps it held in the secure position so you can draw them. What else? Well, I mean, I'll do a review on these later for another time. If you're wondering about my great home, the Highland basket and my belt and stuff, those are the things I used to take with me for the Skull of St. George, as it so says on the belt right here. Let's get a close-up on this. Skull of St. George. That's the Western martial arts school I used to go to. And I know a lot of guys are kind of weirded out because I say Western martial art, and it's not like an East Asian thing. It's not like judo, karate, jiu-jitsu, or hapkido, aikido, any of those things. It's Western, as in this one's actually based in Southern Italian, which is really cool, I think. It's very unorthodox and untraditional and all of those things you can think of. It's based on a guy called Fiore de Liberi, which is the Flower of Liberty. He invented this whole fighting system for every kind of situation you can imagine, and he was the maestro at arms for the majority of southern Italy, and he was a major inspiration for a lot of the other sword masters that were developing styles back then. He drew on references from Johannes Lechtenauer, which is a German middle-aged 14th century swordmaster. If you start training both the styles, you can understand the relationship between them, but once the basics are gone, then they both shoot off in their own choices. Fiore de Liberi was he was short, well, he wasn't really short, but he focused a lot more on speed of attacks and the finesse of the whole things. You got to realize, southern Italy during the start of the Renaissance, end of the Middle Ages, High Middle Ages, just leading down. People are starting to realize that armor is becoming obsolete, really, for gentlemen at least, and that it's becoming more of a finesse weapon for swords. You don't need a 5-pound hand-and-a-half sword to hack through somebody. If you can get a nice stab or thrust cut or something into a lung, a liver, or something, they're gone. They're dead. You don't need any more than that. So it's just that brief period between the High Middle Ages and the Renaissance, when people started really going over from all the heavy stuff and the ideology of bigger is better onto the finesse weapons, which are kind of I don't know. After that brief little section, I kind of call them wimpy weapons because you're slapping a guy with a small metal stick. I'm not a preference for that. It's whatever. But that's just me. Anyway, so those are just things I used to wear. Actually, I've got my gambeson, and I'll pull that up sometime whenever I do a better review of this. The reason I have the Highland basket hilt in there is because I was actually part of the style. It's a different belt. They've got belt rankings just like traditional, a lot of other martial arts, and like a lot of them, starting's yellow. So I never really got too horribly far. I could have tested for blue several years ago, but I never got around to it. Plus, with me moving out, and there's not a School of St. George company out in California located near me, it'd have to be like a 3.5-hour drive for me to make it. I just didn't deem it worth it. So hopefully I can start that back up for this month at least. But the reason I have the Highland basket is because for the brown belt, which is above the blue belt, you have to start a secondary style to kind of broaden your horizons and understand the differences of a whole lot of different styles. And of the three I was thinking of, one of them was the Highland basket hilt mortuary sword. There we go. Highland basket mortuary sword, and this happened to be a guard, and I was going to make myself a sword when I got back to the forge, but that never got around to happening. It's very saddening. Yeah, so I'll be doing reviews. Actually, you know what? I got nothing else to do today. I'll probably be popping up some reviews today, and this will just be an account update. Again, on the sale, just PM me if you're interested in the bow, and I'll get you all the details you need, and that'll be it. Alright, thanks again, guys, and have a nice day.